I'm going to do some foundation training. For those of you that have a wobble board, or I've given you a wobble board, you can use that for this one, and it's really going to ramp it up. And we're going to be using these in class. I made a bunch of my own, so we could use them. But if you don't, that's fine. So I'm going to start with accepting low power mode on my phone. Battery's dying. That means I gotta be quick. I'll yell. I don't have a mic. So I'll try to remember. I don't have a mic and yell. So I just got my heel on the stable part here, right foot, the wobbly part. And I usually start out with just some of these. Just letting the whole leg go, getting that inversion, eversion. And then I'm gonna set up with the heel up on the left foot. So I'm gonna pretty much set up for an archer. You can feel our tendency is to go forward here. So I'm going to grab, pull the block towards me. Now I'm trying to just stabilize. So if you see my foot going, it's just because I'm trying to stabilize. I'm not doing it on purpose. We go measuring stick hands, getting tall, and I'm activating the scissors. So I'm pulling that front foot forward towards me, and I feel like I'm squeezing the ground. I'm going to keep this left hand here right on that ASIS. I'm keeping that pelvis, that SI joint locked down. I'm not letting it roll forward and bringing it back. I'm bringing my weight back. So when I reach my hand, I don't reach forward. I don't follow my hand. If anything, I'm pulling my body away from that hand. So you see I end up with some elbow bend. I'm just serving a platter there. Fingers are spread. That makes me be more active. My neck and my shoulders. Speaking of my neck, I'm going to pull that long, and that heel keeps coming down. It's hard on that wobble board. So I'm not doing that on purpose, just falling. So we want to find some of that unsteadiness. Pulling. Weight is 50-50 here, but it's going to feel like, especially with this, there's more weight in the back foot. That's normal. Most people tend to be here, trying to bring it back, maybe even drawing that knee behind that ankle on the right elbow. I'm going to just trace up now with my archer. So one thing that we're trying to do here is roll the thigh in as I pull back with the hand. Because there's two joints here. We want the hip, that acetabular-femoral joint, that trochanter rolling forward, but I don't want the ilium, the pelvis going with it. So if I can roll that, maybe it's just 5 degrees, that's really going to challenge a lot of the tight muscles, the dominances most people have. That's shaky. You should feel like here, that hip flexion is working to suck that hip into the socket. And I hold on to that as I come up. I don't want to lose that. So I'm engaging as I'm tracing. I'm spreading fingertips away from elbow. That wobble board's challenging me. This is going to help strengthen our ankles. That's why we're doing it, but it's also giving me more activation upstream. I can go full trace if I want. With the hand, I can scoop it. Come to platter. Maybe you felt that SI joint roll forward. So we're just going to, instead of tracing the shoulder, I'm going to trace to the ilium. I'm going to guide that back. So the right lat is reaching forward, and following it is the left hip. This is a bit of a walking thing. Up to the archer, and even more, the reverse archer we're going to do is going to mimic that as well. So I'll feel the neck more. If I let that follow, I don't get as much out of my body. So setting that hip into internal rotation, I feel the right trap, feel my spine really working to stabilize. Good. Before we switch sides, let's just hinge. Now that back leg's going to have a break. Let's do some wobbles here. I'm just holding long wing. Hopefully you can see my foot. Wobbling in and out. So usually in the morning, my ankle gives me the, loosen up that arthritis. So very helpful for that. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to work on stability. So I can hinge. I'm getting broad, I'm getting tall, I got that long neck. Most of my weight is now front leg. I don't want the knee driving forward. Grab your butt cheek, pull it up and back. Plant that heel in that stable part of your wobble board, or the floor, whatever you're working with. I'll go back to long wings. I'm trying to get a big chest. In fact, let's go platter. Open. Whatever feels good here. Sometimes I'll do 30. I'm going to shoot for about 10. Especially if I'm feeling a tight side. I feel like most people, it's the left pec. Just hit a few there. A few extra bonus ones on the tight side, because it's all about you, what you feel. Hit a spear. I'm reaching spear away, especially as I rotate with these woodpeckers. I don't want to just rotate. As I start to rotate, I'm reaching my hip back, reaching the hands forward. They work together like you're pulling on a string. So I'm pulling the string. As I rotate, I continue pulling on that string. That's what makes that woodpecker really hit that glute. Reach. Keep that length as you rotate back. It's even more challenging on that wobble board. But we're going to come out of it a little bit, squeeze. So when we're doing our reverse archer, the left hand's going to stay forward. So you reach that right elbow back, back to center. So it's like that woodpecker. I'm just not super deep anymore. Come out of it a little bit. I'm thinking more walking. So when we're walking, we do want a bit of a hinge. I want to be momentum forward. So it's a cross crawl. Right leg is forward, left arm is joining it forward. Not saying you should walk in a reverse archer, but this is going to mirror it, mimic it a little bit more than the normal archer. We do full trace, scoop in, and then I'll switch sides. I'll give you another angle. So left heel, stable parts in the back. These are really easy to make. I just made, took me a little bit of time once I had the plan, but then I just pumped them out really quick. Just get some wobbles there. If you're having trouble with balance, you can use a stick. And then that's fun because you can even work on, can we stand one leg? I think that's more traditionally how this is used. Definitely I'll do that. I'm just thinking today, foundation training session on the wobble board. Really quick. So the same stuff we did on that side, on the other side we're doing on the left now. And you might feel one side easier than the other. Not necessarily pain, but how's my balance? Do I feel my shin lighting up? I think that's the major goal of all this. You'll feel the front line of the leg more, the shin, adductor, hip flexor. I'm starting with that scissor. I'm squeezing, I'm pulling that block towards me. I got sandpaper, not sandpaper, but grit paper on the bottom of this so I can't drag it. This is harder foam, so it doesn't give as much, but maybe that's too much motion. So if you're doing a carpet or on the softer, you won't get as much wobble. Maybe that's good right now. If it's a bad sprain, you don't want to force it. Same thing, I'm going to start with that platter, connecting that bone, that pelvis. That's our ASI, that's where your quad attaches. That rectus femoris muscle. I'm trying to feel the side of the neck working. And I roll that right hip in. And then my archer, I've just traced up from there. If it feels good, it feels good just hanging out there. It's not about doing an artful motion. I think that's the biggest thing. If you're trying to mimic me, it's feel. Even watching the foundation videos, forget how they look like. Listen to the words. Know what you're trying to accomplish. Okay, I'm trying to rotate in the leg. That means I'm trying to stretch the glute. I want to feel the burn on the inside. Do I feel that working on the right side? That quad, that hip flexor area. Do I feel the stretch in the glute? Can I keep that stretch as I go to the archer? These are the questions we're trying to ask. It's not about, well, I want to go fully here. Because if you go fully here and you lose, maybe it's a better stretch in the chest, but you've lost the hip. That's not the point of that exercise. It's all about the foundation and building on top of the foundation. So now I'm pulling, as my elbow opens, I have to fight even harder with my right hip. So if I'm just going to full trace, but I've relaxed all this muscle here, the front line, we've lost the point. That's why it's mostly taught with a half trace. Only go full trace if you feel like you can hold. Half traces are bread and butter. Good. Calf's going to get tired. So we were 50-50, and you can see I'm just about a walking stride distance. I'm going to chop here in my hinge. Normally, what I like about this is I'm always telling people to push their foot through the floor. So you kind of get that naturally on that wobble board. Maybe you're here, but to stabilize, you have to drive it down. So I'm on this little piece that wants to wobble, so I have to shove it into the floor so it stops doing that. So you get that push through the floor I'm always talking about. And that's probably the main reason I like this so much for foundation training. It forces that. And that hits me that length and all this muscle, the haunch, much more. In fact, we're here, grab that, and I'm pulling that back. I don't want to lock the knee out, but I don't want it to be forward. I want to pull back, like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff. I'm handing something across the cliff to somebody. Because remember, we don't want to go off the cliff. If anywhere, we want our center of gravity pulling back behind us. It's a windy day, you're on uneasy ground, handing a very precious goblet to somebody across the cliff. From here, I can go to my archer, come up out a little bit, then we'll go back in, so we get our woodpecker rotations. Reach. Do those openers. One thing I like about this is so we're not caved. Gets my chest big again. And I feel this stretch usually better in a hinge position because I can't thrust. Because here we're not getting that much, right? That's not the goal. We don't want to be doing that. We don't want to be pinching the blades. We want the shoulder, the humerus to be working in the socket. I'm trying to be broad, breathe my shoulder blades wide so I can just focus that pec. Good, that's burning that glute already. I'm going to scoop in, lock in, reach hip away from hands. I'm loose in the right leg as I rotate. Oh, I feel this glute a lot more than the other side. And remember, it's not just doing this number, it's a spiraling motion. As I reach the hands for it, I pull the hip back, I rotate. Careful the neck a little bit, so I want to keep that neck long. And the way to do that is just shut up and just breathe. I talk a lot, blah, blah, blah. So when I go home, I have to fix myself. I talk too much, so I want to shut up and breathe for a few. Breath stabilizes the neck. Then when I'm ready for reverse archer, squeeze the ground, come up out of it a little bit. Trace. 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 That should be burnt. You should feel the shins. Now we can flip this the other direction where my heel is on the wobbly part. And we can do that whole dang thing again, but I'm not going to do that today. But why don't you just, if you have one, flip it, just to see how that feels. We call that the mobilization, trying to get a movement in the joint. So I got just the heel bone, the calcaneus on there. And calcaneus can get stuck on our cuboid bone. In fact, let's go to Billy and talk about the feet. Hi, everyone. Say hi, keep going. Cuboid bone. All right, Billy. So that's the cuboid right there. Cuboid is known for what? Our people that sprain it's fibularis or peroneal muscle, or fibularis muscle. Unfortunately, it's got a million names. So cuboid is one attachment site there. And it can cause a lot of problems. So you can see how this joint doesn't even look like a joint. It can get really stuck. This is your heel bone, the calcaneus. There's a little line there, there's a little joint. So trying to get that heel to move, unlock on the cuboid can really help. This is our mortise joint. This is our talus, and it gets very stuck as well. And usually cuboid and talus also. These three are the trinity for the foot. They can cause a lot of problems. A lot of people are focusing on that. The dorsiflexion, that's good. But we need to remember there's other bones in the foot. And the shoe allows for that mortise joint to work. But getting out of shoes, getting the toes spread, even Billy here, he needs a better toe spread. The more he spreads his toes, the arches will return, and that'll help the lateral arch for the cuboidus. Yes, we have a lateral arch, and that peroneal muscle from here can help pull that arch in. Hopefully you saw that. And this bone can get out on a lot of people. And you can see how this fibula bone, which is supposed to bow a little bit because it's really thin bone, that's why people can break it. And they end up with something like this where it's screwed back into place. But this can get out. I have to adjust this a lot. I'm adjusting this and in here a lot on people. And that fibula will also go out. All right, so just talking about that SI joint one more time. So let's relocate his femur. Let's talk about the left, because this is common on the left, is the pelvis will roll forward. And not just the whole thing, but this specific joint, which we call our sacroiliac joint, will roll. So all this tissue gets gapped, and yeah, people get a lot of pain here. But the problem is not necessarily here, it's this being restricted. The femur gets stuck in this position. It can't move so well with our bending, 4,000 times a day we bend or squat. If it can't roll in the socket properly, your spine and your SI joint will do that motion for you. And you get away with that for a while, but then the irritation comes and our nerves are right there. So that's the last thing we want to be moving. We want to start mobilizing the hip and work on stability here. So me chopping, really demonstrate the chop. He's taking his pinky side right here on the ASIS and he's holding that bone back. I don't have another hand. Holding that back as we work on just a few degrees. And it might feel like it's not moving at all, but as long as you feel this front line, so your quad attaches here, but hip flexor runs over this pubic bone. We got a natural groove for it on its way to this little nubby dub, which we call the lesser trochanter. So that's what you're probably gonna feel working because it's helping, that's the muscle that helps hold it in the socket. And if it's really turned, it's gonna help rotate it a little bit, hold it in the socket. So hopefully you could see that. But if people have lost curve in their low back, as you see with Billy here, you should have a nice lordosis. If it's reversed, it tells us the psoas is not working. It's not doing its job. It's the major stabilizer of our lumbo-pelvic region. It holds it in place, holds the hip in the socket, and it allows other muscles to work to help motion the hip in the socket for daily life, not just in the gym, but everything we do all day. So hopefully that was fun on the wobble board, and we'll do more. There's a lot you can do with it. Like I said, we could flip it around, and that was just kind of foundation training focused. So you can do other fun things, and we'll get to that eventually, but I want to get that one out for anyone who was working on a sprain. Jared, have a great day.